Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. It is Local Chat, episode 243. We've got one James Brown here, living it up, hanging out with us. He feels good. He looks good. He makes love good. Ian Gibson, how are you?
I'm so excited for our special guest to be here today. He gave me a little present before the stream, and I am ready to go. Woo!
Hell yeah, a little cocaine mountain for my cocaine fountain. Folks, we have so much to talk about. Sorry we missed last week. I was a little sicky boy. I'm still sick, actually. It's awful. I hate it. I went to one LA. Listen, folks,
Ew.
I'd like to say something. Los Angeles is the worst place on earth. And I don't know if people know that.
Before you tell me if you're genuine or not, I was just about to ask you because I hear LA has to be one of the most divisive places in the world because there are people who are like, I love LA. I would not want to live anywhere else. And then there are people who are like, it's terrible for dozens of reasons. And so I need your honest, genuine take. Was this your first time in LA?
No, I've been to LA before. Last time I was there, I was in, I want to say Sherman Oaks. Is that a place in LA?
Yes, but also...
And then the time previous to that, I was in Rancho Palos Verde, which technically is outside of LA, and that's like a rich people place, and that was very nice because rich people.
Oh yeah.
But we were in downtown LA, and it's awful. Like in my head, LA was just New York City but west. But I would leave a toddler in New York City. I wouldn't leave a 15-year-old in LA. Like it was a nightmare.
Can I say something? I need to say something. It's not Tuesday, and I don't mean this in a political way, but genuinely, it sounds like Los Angeles needs a Rudy Giuliani because I don't know if you're familiar with New York history, but basically New York used to be an absolute shithole.
Oh yeah, which is why my grandma says be careful every time she calls me.
Yeah, and then Rudy Giuliani came in and did some racist policing, but somehow it worked, and now it's much nicer than a majority of cities. You know, I just as an example, I remember when I lived in Baltimore, the murder rate in Baltimore was higher than New York City, and not per capita, not a percentage. The literal number of murders was like 400 in Baltimore, and it was like 300 in New York City, when New York City is like 10 times the size of Baltimore. It sounds like LA needs that. They need somebody to come in and actually turn that place around and make it cleaner, safer, nicer.
It wasn't like
just across the board.
The safety stuff wasn't as bad. It was just so dirty and like it's you could tell the streets hadn't been cleaned in a really long time. I don't know. It just like was not the picture in my head, you know, you have of LA. Which is and more so like where I just thought it was like New York City of the West, which some parts of it are. I've been to nice parts of LA, but the part where downtown was just like, it was rough.
It is pretty different from New York too, in terms of like layout, vibe, and feel.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. And it's hot.
But at the same time, to your point though, it should be the same quality. And it sounds like it is not across the board.
No, but it was a fun time. I had a horrible time. So Chuck booked 2 Airbnbs that were one house apart from each other on the same street. They were basically the same exact building with a house between us. And so all the rooms had beds except my room had a futon. I like laid on it. And this was like a love seat futon. And like Chuck was like roasting me like, oh, you get to sleep on the futon. Like you're the new guy sort of thing. And I was like going along with it, but in my head I was screaming because I'm like, no, I'm not trying to complain. Like this is the worst thing I like laid down on it. It was just wood. And I was like, what the fuck?
God.
So then in the other Airbnb, we had watched MacGruber, and then I was like looking through a closet because so that first night, Bachelor wasn't there yet, so I slept in Bachelor's bed. And so the next morning I was like trying to find a towel, and then I found 2 air mattresses, and I was like, oh, fuck yeah. One was like a queen, one was a little small one, twin. So I grabbed the queen and bring it back over for the next night, fill it up. 45 minutes later, it's just empty. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
So I like half sleep on that shit the whole night. And then finally, like I go upstairs at like 6 a.m. to the couch, and I discovered that the couch upstairs is it's almost like a Japanese futon, where it just like has a very thin mattress that like lays flat,
thin pad.
and I was like, I'm sleeping on this the next night. So the next, I want to say 2 nights, I slept on that bed in the living room, and it was fantastic. It was
good.
so much better. One night I had to stay up late because it was in the living room, and they were eating hot dogs. So I was like, I guess I'll have hot dogs at 2 a.m.
Yeah. Man, Airbnbs, like there was a period there where Airbnbs were the dream.
Yes.
And then they just sucked because property managers didn't care, and they put so many fees and so many rules on it that it just became worse than hotels. And there are some people playing in the space, but I feel like there is a gap there where more hotels need to build like cheap 3-room suites, where the suite isn't for rich people, it's the family suite, and then that would bring the Airbnb crowd back. Because the problem is, like, when I go on vacations with family, it's like we don't want to get a hotel because then we're not going to have like a common shared space to hang out in, so we have to go to Airbnb, and then it's like a fucking nightmare trying to find a decent one that's not stupid expensive after fees. It sucks.
Yeah, it's the same with like Lyft and Uber. Like at this point, it's just like, okay, you're the same as taxis and car services now. Like I can't get a cheap ride. David agrees in chat that downtown LA isn't great. So that was nice. The Summer Games Fest itself was cool. We went to a couple of play days. I didn't have any appointments, but I got to see games being played. I don't think I can talk about any of them currently. But I didn't play anything myself other than, I did play that Blood Dungeon from the Nidhogg people. Grub was over there and had texted us like, hey, come over to this thing. So he was at the station. I believe it was the developer was like, hey, here's 2 Steam Decks. So I played on one, Sean was on the other, and it was so fun. I really, really enjoyed it.
It sounds great.
It's really cool. I don't know how deep it gets, but the like 15 minutes I played of it was super fun. He gave us cool stickers that I put on things. Other than that, I don't think I saw anything else there. The food was pretty decent. I got some dumplings one time, and then some ice cream, which was pretty good. The vibes were nice there. There was like a pinball area. Sean and I checked out the Pokemon pinball machine. And that was neat. The swag bag was really cool. I got check out this Post-it Hellraiser cube that I got.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So I've been using that for a bit. I showed you this, but it's a trial kit. Gundam.
It's an entry kit. Gunpla.
Yeah. So they had these. I got 2 of them because Dan didn't want his. A control mug, FBC mug, which I actually got 2 of them. I think I'm going to send one to Jake because I want to say he's probably the biggest Control fan. And then a bunch of other stuff. Pretty nice bag that everything came in, tote bag, and a Stranger Than Heaven bag, and some other random nonsense. That was pretty neat. And that's about it. It was fun. It was cool. The Giant Bomb at Nights were fun. Very stressful. I also had lost my voice at this point. I wasn't sick yet. I had just fully lost my voice. Like throat hurt and like could barely talk. Which was annoying, but it was fun. It was a good time. Cleaned all that stuff up, and then we went to Disney with
Disney
Land.
Did you go to Disney? Is it called? I know there's California Adventures, which is their Hollywood Studios. What's their Magic Kingdom called? Or is that?
I think it's just Disneyland. Because you get to the
Disneyland
entrance
and California Adventures,
and like 50 feet apart is the entrance to California Adventure, or this one's Disneyland and this one's California Adventure. They're like right next to each other.
It's just Disneyland.
So we had park hoppers. So we went to Disneyland first, went on a bunch of rides. Mike, as probably most people know, is very good at Disney stuff, but he was just like sniping lightning lanes, bringing us from one place to another.
Nice.
Like we were just getting on rides. It was a lot of fun. It was me, Sean, Mike, Grubb, Dan, and Abby Russell. So
Cool.
the six of us went around. Finally, Big Thunder Mountain was closed at Disney World when I was there last, so I got to go on that. We went on at night too. Later on, I finally went on
Ooh.
Space Mountain, which I've never been on Space Mountain, and I learned my tolerance for roller coasters is about the same as Mike's, where I kind of don't care how intense the roller coaster is. I just don't want a big drop. So like Space Mountain's kind of intense, but there's no big sudden drop. You're just like going down and having fun. So like that I could handle. I didn't go on the Incredicoaster because like that one went upside down and everything. But it's the same with like Big Thunder Mountain doesn't have a big drop. It just has some little bumps along the way. There's an Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland, and there's only a show at Disney World, so that was really cool. I got this fucking awesome hat that I love, and now I'm gonna wear all the time. Grubb bought an Indiana Jones hat, but it was an Indiana Jones like mesh hat, and he was like, "Oh, let me just buy this because it's like nice for the heat and everything." We were all like, "Grubb, you look really good in that." Like he looked awesome in it, and I hated it.
Wait, so it was an Indiana Jones style hat, but mesh.
Yeah, but you couldn't
Like
really
Indy's
tell
hat?
it was mesh, but it was Indy's hat.
Oh, okay.
It was just like a breathable, and he looked stunning in it. I could not get over it. I was so pissed.
That's funny.
We were all like, "Yeah, you should wear that more often." And we went over to California Adventure, did the Cars test track thingy over there, which was pretty cool. I think there's a short up of us doing that.
Is that still gas or is it electric over there?
So you don't control the car. It's like Test Track in Disney World, where it's just like you're in the car and it's like going really fast.
See, I'm confusing it with Magic Kingdom has that Cars one, but it's the one where you're on the shitty little gas cars with the rail. Yeah.
So that was actually super. That might have been my favorite ride. Indiana Jones was my favorite ride, but I think the Cars one was more like intense and fun.
Gotcha.
And then they went on some coasters. Mikey and I did the little dancing cars for like kids, and we went on Ariel's Little Mermaid together, which shut down 3 times while we were on it.
Kids rides are good. Honestly, now that I just don't want to do coasters anymore. The kids rides are where I'm at. I'm like, give me a little buzz. That's
we did
all
Small World late at night, which was, I think that's the ride that killed me. And then I left a little bit early because we went to the cantina. Oh, I didn't bring it up. I bought a tiki mug because I'm a monster. They had a tiki mug at the cantina, the Star Wars cantina that we got a booth at.
Oh, really?
And it's like of the DJ the DJ of the cantina used to do Star Tours. And I love Star Tours, so I was like, oh, I'll get this. So a couple of us got tiki mugs. So I have that tiki mug. I'll take a picture of it. And that was really fun. And then from there, I think we did Big Thunder Mountain at night then, and then they were going to do Matterhorn, and I was like, at that point I was like feeling a little nauseous. I was like, it's a day at Disney. I'm like, I'm gonna go sit outside the park by the lockers. You guys do Matterhorn. And I guess Matterhorn sucked. They were all mad they did it.
Really?
Like hurt their backs. So then we walked back to the hotel because our hotel was called Holiday Inn and Suites, 1 block from Disneyland, was the full name of the hotel.
Yeah.
So we walked back to the hotel. I was in the parents' suite with Dan. Sean slept on the couch. We had our poster that surrender the booty, which was wild. There's a giant pirate flag on the ceiling, just looking down at us, and I was like. My great joke was, "Oh, Dan, you know why they put that up there?" He's like, "Why?" He's like, "So we can watch ourselves fuck."
Nice.
So it was a good time. We left a xenomorph costume in that room, so hopefully it didn't scare the cleaning lady. But yeah, overall it was fun. According to Jeff Grubb's walking app, we walked 17 miles. On that Disney day.
I was gonna say, because bouncing between rides between 2 parks, that's a lot of miles.
Yeah. It was a lot of walking. Oh, we did Mike's for the 70th. They had these like glow up keys, and so you go to the locks around the park and it unlocks different part of the key. And then you get like a little thing at the end of it. So he did that, and it was really cute. I think that's gonna be in the vlog. I don't know when the vlog goes up. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Spoiler.
I came back. I came back Tuesday night. The flight was okay. I slept a little bit. And then Wednesday, I just woke up. It's like all the sickness was holding off until I got home. And it was just like, bam. And so I couldn't do anything. I sat on the couch. I tried to play video games, couldn't do it. I watched 2 seasons of Bob's Burgers. I watched the Bob's Burgers movie again. And then I watched 2 or 3 of the Mike had recommended these to me, the Madular Ultima retrospectives, which are like an hour-ish each. So I watched through those. Oh, and then the World Cup. I've been watching most of the World Cup I only catch one game at night now, but over the weekend was watching a bunch of that. But yeah, that'll lead into video games. Any questions about LA or anything? I didn't mean to.
No, I think you covered
it so quick.
LA sucks. Disneyland good. It's funny. Blood Dungeon. I've heard that on 3 different podcasts now. So that one I've got my eye on. The other one, curious if you saw it or got to play it, is Stranger Than Heaven. People, there's interest in that because it's coming from Yakuza Studio, etc. And then the Tupac controversy. But the thing that people have been talking about is the fighting system, where apparently the triggers are your arms and legs.
Oh.
And they were talking about how, like, at one point this guy came up, like you had a knife in one of your hands and this guy came up and grabbed that hand, so you couldn't move that hand anymore, so you had to like punch with the other hand. They talked about how the combat system felt very unique but also very dynamic and good. So that actually has me excited for it, because I think I'm tired of both the Yakuza RPG and the Yakuza action format, because I've played enough of both of those formats to be like, okay, I've had my fill, and nothing against them, but to know that Stranger Than Heaven is actually doing something completely different with its fighting system sounds pretty cool. So I'm excited to see that as well.
Yeah. I want to check it out. Yeah, a lot of cool games I played there or saw there that I'm excited to talk about. What I can talk about is the games I played over the weekend. I played and beat Resident Evil 3, the remake. That was pretty fun. Kind of solid. I'd give it like a 6 or 7 out of 10. Closer to a 6.
Can I ask you something? Because there's something I've never understood, and I will not play these games, so I will not attempt to understand them myself.
Okay.
Which is, RE2 Remake came out, and everybody was like, this is fantastic because it's really improving the original game. They've changed a lot, but for the better, etc. Then the RE3 Remake came out, and from what I can tell, they did the exact same treatment to it in terms of upgrades and updates and quality of life stuff. But for some reason, people are just like, RE3 Remake is not that good. And it confuses me. Like, are the complaints really just about the original RE3? And it's like, are they complaining about the remake? That's what I'm not understanding.
I don't know, but RE3 Remake is much shorter, and there's only one character you play as. Only one campaign you play as a character.
Yeah. But you can change the character for playthroughs.
No. You play as a different character in the campaign, but you don't. There's not multiple playthroughs like RE2, where you play as Claire, you play as Leon, you play as Claire again, you play as Leon again.
There's not like with like Tofu, because aren't there like challenge modes where it's like, play through as Tofu or whatever?
I mean, you could, but in RE2 they're actually different campaigns.
Oh yeah. No, I understand. It's one campaign, but what I'm saying is, it sounds like people replay that same campaign, but they choose a different character at the start, as opposed to, you're talking about 2 different campaigns that are kind of intertwined with each other. Yeah.
So RE2 has 4 separate campaigns that intertwine with each other, versus this has one campaign you could replay with things if you want.
Different characters, yeah. But it's still just one campaign. One short campaign.
I don't think there are different characters in RE3. I don't think you can play as a different character. I can think you could change your costume, but I don't think you can play as a different character.
Maybe it's just costume. Gotcha.
Which is a big difference. It's much shorter, and also I don't know much about the originals, but just their RE3 doesn't have like like Mr. X always following you, or the giant, like you go to the police station at one point because it's a Resident Evil 3 is a prequel to Resident Evil 2. So like you see stuff, but there's no like big area you're intertwining through, unlocking exits to coming back around. Like it's much more of a linear level rather than like a Dark Souls coming back into stuff. So that's sort of the reason why. And also the story is just kind of meh compared to, and I think a lot of that stuff is from the original. Like it's just not as an exciting of a video game.
But part of it's also like I could see laying some of the blame at the remake, where it's like, hey, if you're going to remake this, you really should have. You had license to add a lot more to this and to fix kind of those root errors in a way, like have the original, but add some additional content and additional campaigns and things.
Yeah, maybe it's just more like Resident Evil 2. So it's the similar to like the Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 situation, where it's like Resident Evil 2 such a good remake that 3 you're just like not getting the same thing, and I don't think that's anyone's fault. I think they're just like, we're remaking Resident Evil 3, and then 4 is really good because original 4 is also a fantastic video game. So I think it's sort of that situation.
That's a good point. So it's not necessarily that RE3 remake is bad. It's that it has the same problems as the original in a way. Yeah. Like it's a good remake, but it didn't do enough to fix the problems of the first game. Which to your point is like, that's a catch-22 in a way. Like you feel like you're remaking it, you have to be faithful to the original, but in a case like this where the original has problems, you kind of have to make major changes to fix those, and you don't necessarily want to make major changes.
Exactly. I think it's just fundamentally a different game from 2, even the originals are, so like that's why. But it was fun. I still had a great time. It's a Resident Evil game, like even a mediocre one. That's why like I'm more of a 7 than a 6. Like it's just like a fun time to cook through. It's not scary at all, which is nice. You just like kind of cook through it and you have a fun time. Like for me, none of the third person ones are as scary as the first person ones. So like which sucked for 9 because every time I got to be Leon, I was like blazing through it, and then all of a sudden I was Grace again. I'm like, fuck, I do not want to play this section. Which was mighty annoying. Also, over the weekend, I started Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition Switch 2 Edition, which is the definitive edition of Xenoblade Chronicles, but for the Switch 2, in case that title was not self-explanatory. I'm maybe 2 or 3 hours into it, and it's fun. It's Xenoblade Chronicles came out originally, I believe, on the Wii.
Yes.
Forever ago.
And it had very few copies.
It had very few copies. It was rare for a while. I remember it was on my like game collecting list just because it was rare. And it's I don't know what all the definitive edition upgrades are, but it's just like I'm just cooking. It's like fun time. The combat's fun. It's more
what style is the combat?
The closest thing it reminds me of is Knights of the Old Republic, or like MMO combat, where you're clicking on an enemy and you're auto attacking, but you're also like doing your specials and stuff. Like there's Shulk has a move that's like be behind an enemy that's targeting one of your party members, hit that and it's a backstab, or be to the side of it and hit this one. So that the combat's pretty fun because you're like dancing around and doing that sort of stuff. It's less, not that I don't like turn-based combat, but it's a little more free form and you're going at it. And then like walking through the city, like there's plenty of stuff people to talk to. You have this whole affinity thing with named characters where like you have this like spider web of like relationships, and it's like as you talk to people you gain things you can do. There's like a gifting system that I barely touched, but like even talking to someone and being like, oh, I'm gonna do this quest for you, like my party members were like getting hearts. They're like, oh, we're happy you're friends with this person. So it was like neat to see that. And then on top of that, this must be a change for the definitive edition, but I would like talk to a guy and he's like, oh, can you go kill 7 monsters? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then he has an exclamation point. He's like, oh, can you go kill 7 blorblorps? I'm like, yeah, sure. Exclamation point. Oh, can you go kill 7?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
that's great.
I bet it was one at a time in the original and you're just giving them the... Plus, and this might be different too, when you complete a quest, it completes out in the wild. Like you don't have to go back and talk to the person.
Oh, that's nice.
Like there's a
nice.
couple where I did because there's more story to it, but like those types I didn't have to, and it's just like, oh, here's your thing, like you did it, and I was like, fuck yeah. So it's been fun. I've been trying to pay attention to the story. I think the voice acting is new in the definitive edition, Switch 2 edition, and obviously like frame rate stuff and visuals. I've been playing it handheld, but yeah, it's been a good time. It feels really good. I think it just came out, but yeah, there was a code up for there's a code up for grabs, and I was just like, I'll take it. I've always wanted to play this game, so I grabbed that. And then 2 games I got to check out last month with Jeff Bakalar was Star Fox. That comes out next week. He played most of that. It was cool to check that out, including we did some multiplayer, we did some co-op stuff in the mouse mode. It looks really good. I'm really excited for it. It just looks like a fun game. I didn't play a lot of Star Fox 64, and this just looks fantastic, plays fantastic, and I'm excited to spend some time with it. And it's only like $50, which I guess is a little bit cheaper, which is nice. And then we also checked out Rhythm Heaven Groove, which I am much more excited for. I absolutely dominated the fuckers at that play session. There was a mini game and I fucking dominated. They played one round of it and it was like back and forth with a couple people. I played one round. I sniped all 3 rounds right away and immediately won.
Hell yeah.
Got that old internal timing.
I'm excited to play one of these games. The problem is there is a renaissance in this genre. I don't know if you've noticed it, but there's indie games, there's Rhythm Heaven Groove. I think there's another series that has a new entry coming out. So there's a lot of these rhythm games that are popping off the last year or so. And so now the problem I have is like, I don't necessarily want to play Groove just because it's going to be full price new release. So I'm like, okay, how can I scratch this itch in the best but also cheapest way possible? So
yeah, I highly recommend the originals. Those are really good. There's a 3DS one that combines everything, but I was playing on my 3DS. I was playing the DS version, and it was still just fine. Very fun. You hold the DS sideways. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I think there's a 3DS one that puts it all together. But yeah, Rhythm Heaven Groove. I'm really looking forward to that. It comes out in July, I want to say. And that's about it. I sort of played Tiny Toons, which Mike wanted me to play. I was asking for an SNES game.
What is it?
It's a Buster Bust Loose Tiny Toons. It's a Looney Tunes game for the Super Nintendo. And I was playing it on my Thor, and it's pretty fun. It's just like a side scroller. You've got like a dash and a jump, and you're beating bosses and stuff. It's fun. It's no ActRaiser, but I'm having a good time. Just slowly playing through it. There were some other recommendations, but I have not got to them yet. Those are the games I've been playing. Ian Gibson, please tell us about your favorite war.
Yeah, my favorite war, of course, is Vietnam War. Actually, I don't think it is. See, the problem is I know this was a segue, but now I'm thinking, what is my favorite war? I don't know. The problem is there's a lot of wars I don't know enough about, and so I've been trying to kind of fill in the gaps on my wars lately via documentaries and books and things. But anyways, yeah, Vietnam War, folks, is the name of the game, and holy fuck, this game is... If you're not familiar with what this game is, this is an indie game. I believe it's a solo developer. It looks like a Roblox game that escaped containment, but the best way to describe it is one of the most immersive sims I have ever played, and you are in the Vietnam War, and you can choose which side you want to fight for, and then you can choose a faction or a corps within that, like Marine Corps or Army or, Navy Aviator, etc., or, NVA or Viet Cong. And then you are placed in I don't know what the scale is, but it's a pretty big map of Vietnam. And this game is just a fantastic immersive sim, because I was thinking about immersive sims, and I wasn't a big fan of the game Prey, but that was my personal take on it. I know the game Prey is good. I fucking hate that I have to explain this. Prey, the sci-fi immersive sim, not the 2006 original or whatever. The Arcane, is it Arcane that made Prey?
Yeah.
We need to fucking stop with the bullshit naming, folks. Like the name gets used once. We need Screen Actors Guild rules for video game titles, where it's like one person gets the name and nobody else is ever allowed to use that same name again, ever. Anyways, Prey, the Arcane
Sorry,
sci-fi
Doom.
moon. Yeah, fuck you, Doom. Actually, yeah, because they did that. We call it Doom 2016, but that's not the name. It's Doom because they fucked up and redid the same name. Anyways,
just because old people like you get confused doesn't mean that they have
is it the same? Is it the same name? I feel like the original is capital D and the new one is all caps.
I don't know.
I can't remember. Anyway, it's fucked. Speaking of which, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which is coming out for what, the third time or something. Anyways, yeah, and so sorry, back to Prey. There in my head, there's the style of immersive sim that typically happens is something like Prey or Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, or Human Revolution, etc., where it's like, hey, you have a series of hallways. So you're in this building, or in Mankind, they'll be like, you're in kind of this neighborhood that has buildings, but you're still kind of walled off, right? And it's an immersive sim because we have placed multiple paths for you to take and there are multiple storylines for you to pick up, right? But for me, that's good, right? That's a good immersive sim. But it always felt a little bit too crafted for me. Whereas Vietnam War is a lot more of the Shadows of Doubt style of immersive sim, where you are not the center of the story. And this world has not been crafted for you. Like, it literally is a living world. There are people in the world and they are doing things and they have their own objectives and they have their own allies and their own enemies. And the world is happening around you, not for you. And for me, that's the thing that makes Vietnam War like a true immersive sim. Like, you saw it as soon as we launched played the game for the first time on that one stream, where like we loaded in and there are guys at our base just wandering around doing what they want, and we look and there's helicopters attacking a base over there, and the artillery is firing at some random target for some reason. And the more I play of this game, because I've probably played like 12-15 hours of it now, is like none of that is fake, right? Like it's not set pieces. It's not, oh, here's an artillery gun and it's just playing the animation. No, that artillery gun is firing because in the background, some AI has been given a mission to attack a base, and that AI has called in artillery, and that has come to the artillery operators at this base, and so they are actually firing on a base somewhere, and that is landing against enemy troops that have been spotted, And so this game is just from a pure gameplay perspective, it's the best immersive sim I've ever played, because of the amount of stuff that is just constantly happening in the world, regardless of what you, the player, is doing. And also the fact that you as the player can do whatever you want. Like I went to Saigon, and Saigon has a city and there's just people walking around. And while I was in Saigon, the Viet Cong kept doing these sporadic attacks where like a Viet Cong sniper just showed up on a hotel balcony and started shooting people, and everybody's like, whoa! Everybody starts freaking out, and or like we talked about how like air cavalry, US air cavalry will just, they'll show up with 3 helicopters and just start shooting at people on the ground and drop troops and things like that. And once you start to understand the systems a little better, like this game is definitely janky. There's a lot of it that's broken, but once I started to understand the systems better, I would start sneaking around and like sneak up on an enemy encampment and like take out guys, and then pull out my radio and pull out a handheld radio I had because I found it at some point in some camp, and call in a platoon. And then, like a Chinook would show up and drop a platoon of friendly soldiers, and then we would take over the base. And it just, in terms of like pure standard gameplay, it delivers it in such a better way than any other first person shooter would. Because if you think about it, like Titanfall 2, fantastic first-person shooter, but it's finally crafted for you to have a specific experience. Whereas this feels so much better. Well, to be clear, it does not feel good. Shooting feels terrible, but it feels better to play the game and be like, oh, I see a base over there. Like, I want to go take the base, and then I'm going to steal a tank from them. Like, there was this crazy. We did a stream a week ago where I was like, what do I want to do for this stream? Like, I'm the U.S. I've like captured all the bases near me, and I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab a helicopter and I'm going to go cross the border between South and North Vietnam, and I'm just going to start capturing their bases. And I cross the border and I immediately get fucking lit up by a SAM missile because I'm not fighting Viet Cong, jungle trails now. Like, I'm fighting NVA bases, and they had like an artillery base, and I like kept crossing the border to try and take out that artillery base, and finally eventually took it out. And there was another time in that same mission where I got in a helicopter and I took off the helicopter and I went across the border, was firing at him, got shot down. And as I'm parachuting down, I hear this voice in the jungle. And it's like, this is, I'm going to do the accent, but it's because it's part of the game. It leans into it. And I just hear this voice as I'm floating down in my parachute, and I can see enemy troops like running towards my position. And I hear this voice that's just like, your helicopter crashed, GI. We shoot it out of sky, GI. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I land, and I found a speaker in the jungle that was playing propaganda, like probably real propaganda loops from the Vietnam War of them just being like, go home, GI, we don't want you. And I just like had to hunker down under the speaker and like try and shoot enemy troops, and eventually they killed me. And it's just, you come across so many crazy things. At one point in one of the US bases, I found a King James Bible. And so I picked up the Bible, and it became my melee weapon. Like, it was in my melee slot.
No.
And I was like, this is kind of dumb. And then I was like running around. And then at one point, like, I was fighting an enemy, and my gun jammed because I hadn't cleaned it recently, which is a real mechanic. And I just pulled out the Bible and I beat him to death with the Bible. And this also scratches that itch I've talked about before, where I love PvE games where I thought of this like axiom. I don't know if it's an axiom or like a theorem, something like I'm like Moore's law or whatever, where it's just like the more enemy NPCs a player has to face, the dumber they should be, right? Mm-hmm. And so in this game is scratching that PvE itch I have, where I'm like, I want to be dropped into an environment where I have like weapons, a wide variety of weapons and scenarios and situations, and there's a shitload of enemy. And I have to like, kill them and like evade them and do all this stuff. So there's a lot of times where I'm just like, the squad AI, the friendly squad AI, it just does not work most of the time. So a lot of the times I'm alone and just like mowing down people and trying to like clear these bases out and stuff. So it's like, it's great. What I did do on stream recently was I finally completed a tour of duty, because if you're US, you literally have to play a certain number of in-game days to complete your tour of duty. And then it's like, your tour of duty is complete. And then I had to go to Saigon. I had to go to the airport. I had to spend $200 on a ticket to go back home to Can Soda.
Hell yeah.
So I load into Can Soda, and it's a whole separate fucking map. And as far as I can tell, like, it's a reduced version, but it's literally Kansas City on the right side of the map, all the way to Seattle on the left. Although I think it was called Seaport. And then it goes up into Canada in the north, so you can technically go up there to dodge the draft. And then there's Mexico in the south. And they have like racetracks. I got a job as a cop. Like, I walked into a police station and it was like, you want a job? And I was like, yeah, I got a job. And they gave me a baton. And then I like the game. Okay, let's be clear. This game is racist. And one of the ways I know it's racist is if you go to the bad parts of town, they just pull guns and start shooting at you, and they'll like try and rob things, and you come across them and you have to shoot out with them. And I was trying to make it to Seaport. Oh, I went to the Civil War Museum. There was just a museum of like the Monitor and the Merrimack, and they have like
hell yeah.
It wasn't a great experience, but it was still cool that it was there. And they had like a crop duster plane. They have trains, but the trains are not working yet. They're not implemented. Damn. but I did have a train. And then I stole a plane, and I took off, and I was trying to make it to Seaport, but I was in a little Cessna and I couldn't make the rate of climb properly to go over the Rockies. So I crashed in the Rockies, and then that crashed the whole game. And I was like, Okay, that's enough for that. Yeah, it's very, very good. This game feels like to close this out, the game feels like it's made for me specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a moment on stream where that is more true than ever. And it was shortly after I landed in Cansoda and I got out of the plane and I got some donuts and some fried chicken at some restaurants, and then I stole a van and I drove that to a farm, and I was wandering around the farm, and there was like a little suburb with some houses, and I walked into one of the houses and they had a poster on the wall, and the poster was a very specific, recognizable in-game version of a real-world image of Muammar Gaddafi with his bandolier and his I think it's the same picture I have. No, I have a slightly different picture of Gaddafi on my shirt that I have, but it was literally, I looked at it and I was like, that's the Muammar Gaddafi image, and I pulled it up and I showed it on stream. I was like, it's the same thing. They just converted it into the in-game pictures. In the middle of Cansoda is just this, and I'm like, this game's fucking made for me. Like, it's an incredible experience. Everybody has to play this. I'll just end by saying, you play a lot of shitty, janky games, and some of them, like Elix and stuff, I'm like, I don't fucking get it. Like, why are you playing this? This game is fucking broken and shitty. And I think it's because there's something about like Bethesda medieval RPG-esque type thing that is your itch, where I'm not saying those games are absolutely terrible, but you will forgive a lot of jank if it scratches that itch and is an immersive sim type of thing. And I realized for me, this game is just as broken as one of those, probably more broken, honestly. But I've played like 15 hours of this because it's for me. It's Vietnam War. It's got these weird little jokes and these weird little things going on. So yeah, that's Vietnam War. It's incredible. Do you think you're going to play it? Because you may enjoy it as well.
No, it's funny. I mean, maybe a little bit. For me, immersive sims, I struggle to play the ones that are that open when there's too much to do. Like, I prefer like a Deus Ex or a more critical path one, or if it's an open one, like there's something to do. Like, I like the ideas of them the most. And there's a couple I've played, but I don't know. I'm also not that big into the Vietnam War. So I might, I don't think I would check it out. But the guy did build that other one, the 1940s one. I know, but I don't know how detailed that one is.
Yeah, I was thinking about looking at that one as well, because I kind of burned out on Vietnam War, because the problem was I started to take it seriously, where I really was like, oh, I should clear the map, because there is a way to capture bases. But there's also, like I came across an enemy rocket base in the middle of the jungle, and it was not a base with a flag that you can capture, but they had built up tunnels and they built up bunkers and they built like rocket artillery vehicles. And so I was destroying the rocket artillery vehicles, and you can blow up the tunnels. Tunnels are scary as fuck, by the way, because they put you in them and then they turn the lights out and you're just like, oh fuck. But there's not like a system where it's like, oh, you now own these bunkers, or like, oh, you blew up the bunkers. So it needs like an extra layer of like territory control and taking over, versus just here there are bases with flags, and then there are random enemy spawns in the middle of nowhere that you can't really do anything about. So if it had that extra layer, it tries to give you missions. It does have has a fucking, I mean, you saw this. There's like a skills menu where there's like 30 skills, and they're things like hunting, which is every time you like kill a wild creature, you get like a bump in hunting or something. And so it has like, it has all those RPG elements, but you're right. It needs just a little bit more of like a guiding framework. And it's kind of there in terms of territory control and capturing bases and completing missions, but it just needs to have a little bit more, and it needs to work a little bit better to really satisfy that itch. But yeah, it's something very, very special. If any of that sounds interesting to you guys, 100%, it is a very, very unique game, and it does what it's trying to do very well, even with all the jank on top of it. It's awesome. That's Vietnam War.
That's the Vietnam War, folks. Sign up, get in that draft. It's only like, was it $15?
I think it was 15. Yeah,
it's not bad. Yeah, I talked about that on the Bombcast, and then people were talking, they're like, oh, this game has generative AI in it. And I'm like, did you, like, the little note about it is for some voices and the and like songs. And I was like, okay, that's very
Yeah, some of the
specific
voices,
Gen AI
yeah.
stuff. But then also when we were playing it, most of the voices I heard were like Microsoft Sam voices. They weren't Gen AI.
I think that was the Gen AI, but it's like real shit free Gen AI thing, you know?
Which like isn't, to me, Gen AI voices isn't, I mean, it is Gen AI, don't get me wrong. In a big budget game, you know, there's the arguments for that, and with arc raiders and all that sort of stuff. But for that solo dev to be like, I wanted voice acting and it's my voice maybe, and I'm just Gen AIing it, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's fine. Like, local model, I don't know. But yeah,
I
people were complaining
think,
about that. I'm like, no, I think we're good.
Yeah, I think I don't mean to open the Gen AI discussion, and we really don't have to, but it does feel like more increasingly people are realizing that a big portion of the Gen AI complaint was about the quality of the content and not necessarily the method. And the crazy taxi thing is a big indication of that, where they're like, oh shit, this game looks really good. And they're like, yeah, we use Gen AI as this, and they're like, oh fuck, but it looks good and we really want to play it. And it's like, yeah, like a lot of people are still trying to figure out where their line is. If they're really trying to draw a line on what they consider acceptable or not, it's not an all or nothing. If you try and all or nothing it, you're going to start missing out on a lot of content that uses Gen AI as a tool as part of the process. That's not to say you should accept all of it blind, but you need to realize it's not a black and white yes or no issue, and a lot of people are treating it like that, and it's like, no.
It'd be very different if Vietnam War was like, I generated all these assets and didn't do any art, or Crazy Taxi is like, oh, we generated all the assets and we're not paying artists because we're just generating the assets. Like, that would be a very different thing.
Yeah.
But where it's like, we're generating reference images and then copying those, which is frankly must be a lie, because that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. But also, like,
well, no, I believe them on that, because but okay, let's have this. We got a little bit.
Like, I want to see what a taxi.
I haven't told
this
story before. I haven't told this story before, but no, I think that's what it is they probably went to Gen AI and said, like, you know, what is, like, you know, an 80s style Miami, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, what does that look like? And it shows them, and they're like, okay, yeah, we kind of like that vibe. And then they hand it off to the artist, and the artist understand now the vibe. It's not just words trying to describe a look. They now have a look to work off of. But here's the thing, that quote unquote stealing, like, the argument is like, oh, you're using Gen AI, which is trained on stolen assets, and then you're using that stolen asset as a base to then, even though your artists are working off of it, they're working off of a stolen asset, and therefore they're not creating something wholly original. Like, that's the argument, right? That shit has been happening forever. It's been happening before Gen AI, which is game artists stealing art. And I'll give you an example. This is a personal anecdote, but I had a friend in college who he's a fantastic graphic designer, like literally very, very good. That was his day job when he left college, was graphic design. And but he also did a lot of, like, I don't know what you call it, like digital painting, where he's like creating like oil painting style stuff, but all through Photoshop, whatever. And so he would do these paintings and put it on DeviantArt. And one day he got very, very excited, and he's like, there's a new trailer for Rome Total War, and my art is in it. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, they're interviewing developers, and they show a shot of an artboard with a lot of their concept art, and one of the images is something that I drew. Mm-hmm. And I put up on DeviantArt, and they printed it out and put it up there. And it was like some, like, you know, Roman Caesar like type image that he had created. And it was not a free image that he had created. Like, it was on DeviantArt with a watermark, and they had not purchased it or anything like that. And I'm not saying it's okay that they did that, but for him, he was just excited to see his art be referenced by them as part of their concept art to then build the game off of. That's stolen fucking art. like that is a stage in the game development process, or any development process, is you're not going to create everything from scratch. You know, like I don't know about you, but I do it all the time, where it's like, oh, I want our next stream overlay to have kind of like a vaporwave look. Okay, well, let me go to Google Images, and I'm gonna type in vaporwave, and I'm gonna look at those images, and I'm gonna go, okay, yeah, it's usually like that hue of pink and that purple, and it's, oh yeah, that's right, it's got those weird lines in it. Okay, now I'm gonna build my own thing off of that as a visual reference. I'm not directly using that image, but I'm using that to remind me what the look should be. That has always gone on. And the fact that they're using generative images as a starting point, as long as they're not directly using those images in the game, is totally fucking fine. There is nothing wrong with that. It's the same quote unquote theft that has always fucking been there. It's just the source is different now.
Yeah, you know? I don't agree, but that's just me. Like, I would rather them be like, hey, we Googled a bunch of stuff and looked at people's art and printed it out, and then that's what we're basing off of. Like to me, you talking about the Rome Total War thing, then printing it out, then putting it up, that's not, to me, that's not stolen art. It'd be stolen art if they then put that in the game direct 1-to-1.
Well, so I guess my question then is for Crazy Taxi, where they said we use generative AI to create initial concept images, but those images are not in the game. They are just visual references for artists to then create original art off of. How is that any different from what you're describing in terms of we go to Google Images, we print out somebody else's image to look at. We're not copying it directly. It's a vibes based thing.
Yeah, I think to me it's just more of like, part of it is Gen AI is just stealing people's art to make the image, and B, just come up with it yourself while you're using Gen AI. Like, I don't know. I don't use Gen AI at all, so to me it's such an abstract thing to be like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm going to ask a robot to tell me what to do. Like, that's just kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I think for me, and again, everybody's line is at a different point. I think for me, it's like, if the image, there's a big difference between I'm using it to generate an image and I look at the image and that gives me a vibe that I then use to create original art. I'm okay with that versus I'm using it to generate an image and then I am putting that image into the game. That for me is a big leap. The second one, I'm kind of okay with, honestly, but I can understand people not being okay with the second one. But for Crazy Taxi, from what they said, it sounds like it's the first one, where there's an air gap between the generated image. It is never made into game asset. It is just used for communicating vibes and getting a visual feel for something before you then go off and create something original. But yeah, so going back to Vietnam War, like, again, everybody's line is somewhere else, but like you talked about, if this game used AI to generate assets. This game is so fucking good and so fucking original that I genuinely don't give a shit how they created it. As long as they were not literally stealing the game from somebody. If they were like, hey, I vibe coded the whole thing, all the assets are AI generated, etc. For me, it's the end result. And the end result is very unique and very good and feels very different. It does not feel like a vibe coded game, which I've played some vibe coded games and been like, yeah, it works, but it feels the same as everything else and it looks the same as everything else. So I don't know where my line is. I know my line is way more AI positive than most people are. And I think this is kind of an example of, I really don't give a shit how much they used AI to build this game. Based on what you said, they didn't use a lot, but even if they did, I'd be like, so what? They came up with something that feels so fucking unique and original and different that I'm okay with whatever they needed to do to get there.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, it's that thing where it's like, especially like AI generating voice is, to me, like, it's the same as being like, oh, we're having Microsoft Sam do the voices. Like, it's the same side of that, where like, if you're just uploading your voice and it's copying that, that's fine. Versus if it was like going out there and stealing other people's voices and doing all that sort of stuff, that's a different story. But in my head, that's like a separate thing for that. But also, who knows, in like 2 years when the AI bubble pops, nobody has access to AI anymore, then we don't use it anymore. And then,
buddy, that's not happening. There will probably be, it's going to be like, remember the .com bubble when that popped? So .com bubble popped because all these companies, et cetera, started spinning up and they're like, oh, we can pay for things online. We can buy things off the internet now. Mm-hmm. And that caused an inflation of value of these companies. And that bubble popped, but it doesn't mean that we stopped buying things online. It doesn't mean we stopped using the internet. Like, the underlying technology is here to stay. And if anything, it's getting better every fucking day, better and cheaper and more efficient every day. So the technology is not going away.
Yeah.
Some of these bubbles are going to pop. Of the speculative
stuff,
bubbles.
But yeah. I think the generative's
still here, man.
I know. I'm just saying I don't fucking want it. That's what I'm saying.
That's fair.
Just all I'm saying.
I just keep going back to
just
actually there's a tweet.
Me.
If I can quote this tweet, I think this tweet kind of sums up not necessarily how I feel, but where I think where I think the industry is right now. The industry and people reacting to the industry use of AI. So this is from @Celoslav on Twitter. And this was in response to the Crazy Taxi. And he basically says, quote, "So the game looks like this. People who use AI and admit it may be punished socially. People who use AI and hide it get the benefit without the stigma. People who refuse AI may fall behind, and people who denounce AI while secretly using it get both moral status and productivity." That makes the hypocrisy a dominant strategy for a lot of people, at least while the social norm is unstable. That kind of sums it up, really, which is like, the fact of the matter is these tools are very good at making you create faster and better and quicker. And you're going to have, but the social stigma around them is we don't want them at all. And there's a disconnect there where we're going to get to a point where these studios are going to continue using this AI and they're just going to start lying about it to our faces.
Yeah. I think,
and that's not going to work.
If someone presented
so
me,
you got to find your line somewhere of what you're going to tolerate.
I haven't heard any case, even the Crazy Taxi thing. Just find some reference books. Like, I don't understand paying for AI to just use it to do, like, the justification for that. Like, why aren't you using it more? Like, if you're going to be using AI, like, use it way more than that if you're going to be doing that. Like, I haven't found a use case for AI also in my life at all that has, like, anytime I Google something, I'm purely frustrated by it. Anytime I use anything with AI. So,
but I also, Google AI is shit.
I haven't used ChatGPT since it came out, 2 years ago, and all that stuff. And I don't want to. So that's the other thing. Like, I'm not seeking it out. I'm not, like, sitting there being like, do this thing for me, but it's annoying when I keep running into it and I'm like, no, that's not what I want. I just want this other thing. I know Google's a separate beast, but it's just like, it's frustrating where everyone's like, hey, we're adding this AI thing. And I'm like, Reddit is unusable now. It's just like, hey, here's what all the users in this thing are saying. And I'm like, I don't want what all the users in this thing are saying. I want to read the comments. And even with Amazon reviews, now when I search something, it searches it in the Alexa thing. I'm like, no, I don't want to search the Alexa thing. I just want to find so it's frustrating.
But even then, you're talking about, I know this is not what you're saying, but you're saying I don't like AI because the quality's bad. And it's like, okay, but your personal Rubicon is going to be, oh shit, it's good. And for some people it's Crazy Taxi, where it's like, yo, you like Crazy Taxi? This new game looks really fucking good, but it uses AI. Now where's your point going to be? You know, and I think that's where people are going to have to start deciding where their personal point is, because black and white is not going to cut it anymore.
Yeah, I Crazy Taxi is a different. It's not like the Ubisoft Gen AI game where it's just like we use Gen AI to make this entire video game. Like that's
but it's still, it is enough to trigger a lot of people's I will not play any game with AI in it. And this technically counts because they used generative AI to help with development of the game. You know?
Yeah, I think my line is in the game, which is a line. But,
that's fair.
But also, yeah, just all of it is annoying to me. Did you want to talk about the other games on your list?
Yeah. This is not planned. Actually, there's two coincidences here. Let me just get into it, folks. I've been doing a lot of vibe coding lately. And the thing about vibe coding is that I have a very good vibe coding system. But the problem is when you have a very good system, you don't actually spend a lot of time actively engaged with it. And the long story short is that I'm basically like, hey, do this for me. And then it does it for like 40 or 50 minutes. And I don't have to interact with it. I don't have to follow a chat. I don't have to answer any questions. But the problem is on my Pooter, I'm sitting on my Pooter and it's going for like 40, 45 minutes. And I'm just like, what do I do now? It's like compiling code or like running an export in Premiere, where it's just like, I mean, I still kind of have to be here in case something goes wrong, but what the fuck am I supposed to do? And I can't really use my computer elsewhere. And so I was like, oh, I should play a Switch game. And then I was like, wait, I just bought Switch games with my voucher. One of which is Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Oh, hell yeah.
And so I have been playing a couple hours of that. We don't have to talk about it much because actually you kind of already You already described it. It turns out the system is actually very similar. The combat system, it, like you said, it feels like an MMO. This feels like a single player MMO. They're like, hey, here's your hub. There's a lot of stuff you can do. You know, the combat system is auto attack, but you can pop these powers and you have a party that you can equip and stuff. I think where Xenoblade Chronicle X is a little bit different from the other ones, and the reason why I bought this one and over the others was people were like, hey, this is a good starter entry for this series. Is it does get to a point where you have a mech, and it feels like it's a little bit more monster heavy in terms of like you're running around hitting monsters. I don't know if the other one has as much of that. And it's got a lot to do. I've played probably about 3 hours of it. I think it's going to be a good, like, when I'm bored, pick up the Switch, play it. It was a little funny though, because I had the Switch 1 version for $5. I could get the Switch 2 edition. And I looked it up and people were like, don't get the Switch 2 edition because they were like, the game does perform a little better, but it adds these problems and these like weird issues and bugs, and they do something weird with the text based on the resolution that people were literally like, oh, I have a Switch 2 and I downgraded to the Switch 1 edition to play this game. So can I just say something pro Xbox real quick, which is, I feel so conflicted with Xbox because everybody's shitting on Xbox, and there are things that Xbox does bad, but I also think there are so many fucking things that Xbox does really, really well that they just do not get credit for. And one of the things they did really, really well was when the Xbox Series X came out, they were like, we're not going to make you pay for upgrades. There is not an Xbox One and an Xbox Series X version of this game. It's just whatever console you're on, that's what gets installed and that's what it runs, and it will max out whatever console you're on. Versus, if you remember the PS4, PS5, sometimes you had to pay for an upgrade. Even if you didn't have to pay for an upgrade, you had to install the specific version, which up until a year ago, when I last ran into this problem, was still difficult, where it was very easy to download a PS4 version of a game instead of the PS5 version of a game. And the Switch 2 is making the same mistake where there's two different versions and there's a paid upgrade between them. And that's one of the things that Xbox has done really well with this gen, was just be like, no, it's the same fucking game. And actually, we don't even care if it's console or PC. It's cross save. It's you have the copy on both platforms. It doesn't matter where you bought it, and it doesn't matter the hardware. We're just going to install the appropriate version for that hardware, and it's really fucking good. And it's a little upsetting that Sony and Nintendo have not done that. But anyways, yeah. Xenoblade Chronicles X seems pretty good. I'll probably play a little bit more of it. It's funny. It's scratching that MMO itch I've had lately. When it's technically single player, but it's still very much an MMO. And then finally, I just wanted to call out 2 demos that I've played a little bit more of recently, Steam demos. One is called Iron Nest. We played a little bit of this recently. This game's not out yet, but you're controlling a giant artillery gun and you get these missions. I played it a little bit more, and it gets to a point where they're like, hey, there's 2 spotters in the map, and this spotter says it's 300 degrees from him. This spotter says it's 110 degrees from him. So you're starting having to draw like converging arcs on a map to pinpoint where it is and plotting range of certain shells. And the other one's Map, which is game already came out, but it does have a demo out as well. And it's really cool. It is a very cutesy looking game, but it actually gets a little difficult because the whole premise is that they put you on an island. Each level is an island. And on that island, they're like, hey, go find the tree trunk. And you find the tree trunk, and they're like, okay, open your map. And the map is an outline of the island, but nothing else. And they're like, put a pin where the tree trunk is. And so you have to start counting your steps. And like, yeah, I think later in the game you get a compass, but at the start you only get a compass on the island. So you're counting your steps and you're trying to pinpoint exact landmarks. So it really is like a literal like navigation cartography game where you're using real tools and things, but in this cutesy world. And I played through that demo for about an hour. It's very cool. So Map and Iron Nest, those are 2 demos I played recently that I want to call out.
Hell yeah. I love it. Yeah, this looks like fun. I feel like excuse me. I feel like I remember seeing this at a event or something. Maybe like the PC.
It's cool. I think it came out in May, and it has a lot of good reviews. It's just so cool that they're like, we're going to make a map game, but it doesn't have to be. The gameplay is serious, but the style does not have to be. And so it's very cute and charming.
Sweet. Folks, those are the games we've been playing this week. James Brown hasn't been playing anything, so unfortunately we're going to have to skip him. But folks, he looks good and he feels good. that's going to be it for the show. I've got to go to improv. I'm going to hit this button, and then we can get the fuck out of here. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern with some more Steam Next Fest demos. I downloaded a bunch that I'm going to have to send all the links to Ian for, so he can tell you about them while we're playing them. It should be super fun. And then, yeah, we got that at 4 p.m. Eastern. This episode should go up this weekend. Next week, we've got plans for things, which should be fun. Patreon.com/subpixel if you want to go support us. It's also free, and you can get our newsletter and all that sort of stuff. That's about it, I think. It's fishing week next week at Giant Bomb, so come on by for that. That'll be a lot of fun. Check that out. Yeah, I made a couple promos. Those are up, and those will go up throughout the week. Yeah, come check out Seaman. That's Ian Gibson. That's James Brown. I'm Will Crosby. See y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.